Today I have with me Gandharv, who is literally packing his bags for New York as he heads to NYU Stern for his MBA for the class of 2025. We started talking back in August last year, around first his ISB admit, and then GMAT happened, and then we expanded our reach to different schools. And today we'll be talking about his journey in terms of who he is, GMAT preparation, admissions preparation, etc., etc. So, thank you, Gandhar, for taking out time in this probably one of the busiest times that you would see in India for a very long time. So, thanks for taking out time. For a start, could you just introduce yourself in terms of your background? Right?
Absolutely, absolutely. And then thank you for having me, Manan. Thanks. Absolutely. So, yes, as you mentioned already, my name is Gandharv. I was born in Delhi and raised over here as well. End to end, through and through a Delhi boy. Did my schooling here, went to college over here. I went to one of the lesser known institutions. So I went to Bharatiya Agrawal Institute of Technology for my bachelor in technology. So engineer again. So not exactly a diversity candidate. Then I went on to start my career with Deloitte. So I started as an intern with the business development team in Deloitte, and where I was, directly absorbed into the team. In the business development role, I was required to sell professional services such as strategy, tax, audit, risk, technology, etc., to our strategic priority accounts that Deloitte had within Deloitte India. And then after having spent 2.5 years in that role, some progression in that role, then I moved internally to strategy consulting. In strategy consulting, I had more of a generalist role where I was advising, say, prop tech portals, listed retail companies, and some Middle Eastern government bodies. And then I wanted to pursue my MBA. It been a long due goal for me, and finally I got a good GMAT and was able to get into one of my dream schools. Thanks to your
Awesome.
help. Yeah.
Awesome, awesome. So let's start with GMAT. I think you've had a adventurous, eventful journey in terms of GMAT. So just take us through that in terms of what you started with. How was your preparation like? What changed in the middle and then something else?
So yeah, absolutely. So I prepared 3 times and I took 5 attempts, and this is a very important distinction I want to draw because first attempt I had, first time I prepared actually. I took coaching from Time Institute, and they were able to help me out, especially with the math bit. Maybe not so much with the verbal bit, but yeah. So I got a 660 then, and I thought to myself, maybe I got the nerves. I was getting a 740 back in the mocks. So I was like, maybe I just got anxious, got test anxiety or whatever. So I took another attempt just in 2 weeks. Let's just get ahead with it, and maybe I'm able to score better. All in vain. I only got a 670 in my second attempt as well. Then the next year came and I prepared again. And this time I got a 690. Again, I thought maybe, it was just the nerves. But then I took another attempt within 2 weeks, just as I did the previous preparation. And this time I got a 710. Now I was like, maybe this is a caliber issue. This is where I am stuck. And maybe, this is the best I can do. I wasn't able to get into ISB, and I wasn't able to get into a couple of other schools as well. Over in those schools, the average GMAT was hovering around 710. So I realized maybe this is just not good enough to get into one of the schools that I want to get in, such as ISB and some other foreign B schools. Then from the third preparation, this time fortunately I only had to take the GMAT once, and this was my fifth attempt, and I got a 770. I don't exactly remember the breakup, but how do I care? It's 770.
Yeah.
So
So,
I was very happy. I was blown away when I saw the screen, and yeah, I think that helped in getting an admission.
yeah. So what was different this time? Your fifth attempt and the third leg of preparation.
Yeah, I think couple of things. So one, I took way more mock tests than I did the previous times around. Second, the attitude shift towards, you know, that I can't get even a single question wrong. There will be a lot of GMAT Club articles or articles online that will tell you that even if you get a couple of questions wrong, you can still get a Q51 or whatever. But you really need to shift that attitude towards saying that I need to get an 800 out of 800, because only then will you want to cover all your bases and leave no stone unturned in your preparation. And anything that makes you anxious or any question that makes you unsure about your abilities, you would want to fix that. So that second attitude shift of wanting an 800 out of 800 was also essential. And the third thing that I did differently was that I studied the solutions very, very, very thoroughly. Even if I got the question right, I still studied the solution really thoroughly from the OG and all the official publications of GMAT. Yeah. So I think
Right,
these
right,
three things were key.
right. So just let's delve a bit more in terms of analyzing. So you said you took a lot of marks. So can you just take us through, let's one a 2 day, 3 day window. How did that look like before the mock, when you took the mock, and that?
So I had taken a 1 month leave from my job the month before GMAT. So I took a 1 month leave and then I took the GMAT. Right. In On each day in that 1 month, I took a mock every day. And so my typical day looked like this, that I would wake up, take a mock and analyze that mock. And then I would do 100 questions every day and, go through the solutions for each of those 100 questions. When I say analyze that mock, um, honestly, for me, it wasn't all that fruitful because I was already getting a 740, 750 in the mocks. So that meant I'm only getting like 5, 6 questions in each section wrong. That wasn't much sample space for me to derive correlations and do some analysis from that much data. Even after taking like 15, 20 mocks, I wasn't able to draw any insights. There was no correlation between what I was getting wrong and what subject am I getting wrong. However, I was only able to get one insight that 2/3 of the questions that I get wrong in quant are from data sufficiency. So that's what I focused more on. Apart from that, the analysis bit wasn't really helping me. Maybe if you're getting more questions wrong, then the analysis bit might help. So yeah, that was my typical day. 2, 3 days before the exam, nothing changed. I kept at it. My general principle that I was operating from was that I want to make it into a muscle memory sort of a thing. I would get up and take the mock every day. And then when the real exam struck, it was just exactly the same. I knew what the temperature of the AC is going to be. I knew what I'm going to be wearing. I knew I'm going to be comfortable. I knew I'm going to be in this very chair. So it's very predictable and it gets into your muscle memory. And fortunately, the burnout thing didn't really happen with me.
Yeah, so that's counterintuitive in some sense, right? A lot of people, say that you should take maybe 5, 6 mocks, give it in a span of 3 days, one mock, etc. And here you are, taking almost 20, 30 mock actual test. So, what is the insight that, you drew out of your preparation in terms of, earlier the notions that are out there in the market in terms of how you should take it and the gap that is floating around versus what you end up doing. So, what is that one key piece of insight that you would like to share with people as they are, looking to either increase their score or, get admits to the top schools?
I think why I was in a position to take that mock daily was actually because of the fact that I was on a leave, right? Not most people can afford to get that 1 month leave, so that I can get. Uh, and on top of that, there are generally pressures of life. So I don't think I would have been able to take one mock every day had I kept on working. It was because my organization was generous enough to grant me that 1 month leave that I was able to take that mock. That being said, I am aware that there's a lot of stuff floating around that says that one shouldn't take more than 2 or 3 mocks per week. I personally don't agree with that philosophy. I don't think that there's a hard and set rule about that. I think I took a mock every day for 30 days and I did fine. So I think, and I'm honestly, I would, like to think that I have more of a caliber issue than the typical candidate out there getting a 730 because it took me like 5 days and all that. um, so I mean, अगर ये कर सकता है तो तुम तो डेफिनेटली कर ही सकते हो sort of thing.
Right. You're discounting yourself, I think, in terms of hard work, to be honest.
Yeah, definitely. No, I did a lot of hard work. I'm not discounting that at all. I mean, it wasn't easy for me to, take a mock every day, analyze that, do 100 questions, study that, everything over and over again for 30 days. It was really difficult. I think the only breaks I was able to take were for food. So it was difficult. I mean, I'm not denying the fact that I slogged. I'm not going to be one of those kids who say that मैंने तो पढ़ा नहीं ऐसे number आ गए तो
Uh,
नहीं पढ़ा था.
Fair, fair. No, that's great. And I think, I totally echo with whatever you said, right? And that's what I tell people. For me, if people ask me what is the good score, what is the safe score that I can target, what is the score should I target? I actually don't have the answer. How can it be less than 800? Because it's not a CAT exam. There is negative marking
Yeah,
where you can leave certain questions and you still score. You have to attempt every question. And if you have to attempt
exactly.
every question, you just get them right. So, and then, of course, ultimately the funta being, give your best shot at it and the results will eventually follow. And I think we spoke once, when you had a 710,
Yeah,
that's when we started working honest
yeah,
on the profile and everything. And this was the very discussion that we had comes to
exactly.
but you were like, एक और दे देता हूँ. मैंने कहा, ठीक है, of course, यार. If you feel that's not your best shot, then do it. And that's what matters
Hmm.
at the end. So great. So let's talk then about, your applications journey. How, first of all, you stumbled upon strategy for GMAT, and humble brag here. And then, how was the process of admission? So what sort of hard work, that was translated in GMAT did you put across here? And just talk about that journey in some sense.
Yeah, absolutely. So for ISB also, it was my third attempt that I was going for ISB. The first attempt I did with 670, then second time with 710, and then the third time with 770. It's only with the third time that I got it. So I was like, this time I need to, fix everything that I have been doing wrong. And back when I reached out to you, I think you only told me that, maybe this thing you can slightly work on the 710 bit because you're a, non-diversity candidate with engineering background and all of that. So I think that was helpful. That motivated me to, going from 710 to 770. Now, how I got in touch with you. So I'll be chronological again. So yeah, I got in touch with you through a colleague of mine that I had at Deloitte. They referred me to you and they had, they sang a lot of phrases about you. So I was like, cool. Maybe he'll be there. So, and then I think back then you used to have a lot of ISB focus. Now I think you're doing much more and doing great at it. So that's fantastic. So then I got in touch with you and I worked with a consultant of yours, Umang, and she was really helpful in getting my application in order, teaching me, what needs to be where, uh, not sort of templatizing everything, but customizing everything according to my um, background and, making my achievements shine through, however little they might have been. So that was helpful. And, we really persevered. We did iterations and iterations and iterations. What I really, really liked is that, unlike some of the consultants out in the market, uh, you know your consultant and you helped me through every part of the application, so be it the form or the essays or everything. So that was really helpful. I When one is doing the third attempt at ISB, they are already kind of shaky in the knees. They don't want to risk anything. So I want to talk to the expert and get their views on what is it that I need to put in place. So I think that was supremely helpful. Then after having seen the help that consultant that your consultant and you uh, gave to me and your expertise in the area, um, then I was also like, maybe with this score I can probably get into some of the top D schools. So then we sort of took the leap of faith and, went on to apply to Harvard. I think, put in everything that we could. But naturally, it is one of the most difficult B schools to get into. So I wasn't able to get into that. But I think that's fine. I mean, part and parcel of the process. Some of the bits were really beyond my control to fix, such as my undergrad and the scores I had from school, from undergrad, etc. So, there's things within and beyond your control. So GMAT was within my control, but undergrad was anymore, I mean. So, and then finally, after doing a couple more applications, all the learnings that, I had gotten from working with you, such as how to write essays, how to guide your recommenders into writing the LORs, what information that you need to provide to them, uh, and how to go about filling the application form and how the achievements need to shine through the resume, etc. All those learnings really, really, really helped me, get into NYU, and um, I'm like supremely grateful for that. And also, one more thing that I forgot to highlight was the interview bit. So I had also enrolled with you for interview preparations. I think I did about three interviews and one in person with you, three interviews with your consultant and one interview with you in person. And I think that was really helpful. I think the ground that we covered in those interview preps, I'm pretty much set for all my MBA interview now. So I, across those three, four interviews, and mock interviews, we covered pretty much everything that a typical, prospective candidate may get asked. So that was really helpful. And I've never heard of any MBA prospective student getting an interview question that we hadn't covered. So the exhaustiveness of it really shocked me. And finally, you know, to sum it all up, I got an admit from ISB, and unfortunately without a scholarship. But then I got an admit from NYU with a Director's Award scholarship worth $50,000. So thank you, Balan. Most grateful.
Thanks for that. Uh, so in terms of admissions, so there is a lot of hard work that we want people to put in terms of research, in terms of talking to alums, etc. So take us through that in terms of the preparation beyond, of course, the conversations that you've had with me or among the consultants and team. What were the efforts that you yourself put in, or you were asked to put in some sense, which would be helpful, people who are applying to Indian or foreign-based schools?
Yeah, absolutely. I think this is a very, very pertinent question because a lot of my juniors from the office were, applying to ISB or, foreign institutions as well. They expect that the consultant will do all the job for them. They'll just, you know, the consultant will write the entire essay, which is just such a flawed way of thinking, primarily because the MBA institutions are looking to get to know you. So the consultant doesn't know you, only you know you, right? The consultant will only help you structure your thoughts and, put it in a more achievement oriented fashion. And they will know what works, what does not work. So what hard work is required on the applicant's end is one, definitely introspection, and just going through, having that flashback about their life, that what are the achievements that I've had, and what are the things they have got over, and everything, the whatever I've accomplished, what are the common themes in my life, uh, what is it that I like, what is it that I don't like, what are my hobbies and what are my interests, what drives me, what motivates me, what are my values and stuff like that. So all these things I think come together in writing a good essay, and that is what your consultants help me, recognize. They ask me the right questions, they help me introspect. So the hard work from my end was one, definitely the introspection, and two, I think having a short turnaround time. That was really key, is really key from both the applicant's standpoint and the consultant standpoint. I've heard of a lot of my, you know, uh, fellow prospective candidates who, you know, took a week or two to get back to the consultant. That kind of just breaks the flow for the consultant as well. They kind of forget the story of your life. Same goes for other consultants. Now, some of my friends who use other consultants for MBA admissions, they frequently complain about this, that the consultant takes about a week or two to get back. Now, when we are applying to multiple foreign B schools, all of the deadlines for all of which are pretty, close by. That the first round is going to be in September, first or second week. The second round is going to be in somewhere in Jan.
Yeah,
Then it becomes really important that the consultants get back to you on time.
yeah,
So, one, introspection, and two, good turnaround time from both consultant and applicant are the key hard work bits.
right. And of course, talking to alums from those schools to kind of really dig deep into, because you're choosing the school as well. It's not just the other.
Yeah, yeah. For me, actually, that wasn't a problem because everybody in your team is an ISB alum, so I got a lot of gyan from you all only. And plus, I had a lot of colleagues who were from ISB, so that was easy. But yes, for NYU, definitely I had to speak with some NYU folks.
Cool, sounds good. And when we were talking and you touched upon a very important turnaround time, then it keeps the consultants on his or her toes as well. For me as well, when we were working on applications, I would give my comments, and next day evening you'll be like, I'm done. Let's set up a call and then start talking. And I was like,
Yeah.
"Yaar, 2 दिन तो दे दो." But that really helped again, in terms of course, remembering, what we spoke last. Plus, it is also about, the rigor of having multiple versions in. I think that's very, very important in terms of any essay that we kind of cover. So that's
Another thing
pretty
that's
important.
actually set your experience apart is the fact that we used to have working sessions sometimes.
Yeah.
I really doubt that there are any consultants in the market who give working sessions. Working sessions is unheard of. So I think that was really helpful. I mean,
Yeah.
whenever possible, I think it's good to have. Obviously, it's not fair to expect that every time, but yeah,
Yeah. No, no, that helps. That helps. I think, see, again, we don't usually do working sessions because it's sometimes inefficient as well. But at the same time,
yeah,
you realize certain candidates need that, or they may be, they would shine better in terms of if they, are having working sessions. So,
yeah, yeah,
each candidate, you have to kind of tailor the approach, which is great. Now,
absolutely.
so now the admits were done, and in my experience, that is when the real anxiety actually starts. Right? When it comes to visa, when it comes to loans, when it comes to housing, etc. So, how did you go about that? Navigating that sort of journey. So,
So honestly, my anxiety, like, I wouldn't really use the word anxiety. I was like thrilled. So I just couldn't believe it that, uh, not so renowned college boy has gotten into NYU and all of that. So I was thrilled. I was jumping. So no anxiety really initially. I got the visa pretty quickly. I was eligible for this Dropbox appointment thing, which was, available for those people who had prior US visa after a certain cutoff date. So visa I got pretty quickly, and I was like thrilled about that because I ended up saving fees for ISB, etc. Da, 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 da. But the loan bit also was pretty. I mean, it's complex for foreign B schools, not so much for ISB. For foreign B schools, what complicates it that is that the domestic loan providers, the domestic lenders, will give it for a higher percentage than would US lenders. Also, the domestic lenders will need a collateral, given that the amount for which the amount of the loan is really big if one is going to a foreign B school. So they will ask for a collateral. And if one takes a foreign loan, like a loan from the US, then they need to have a co-signer in the US. Now, I unfortunately did not have any relatives in the US, so I wasn't able to ask anybody to take on that liability. But there are solutions to, you know, finding co-signers or, refinancing the loan once you've gotten an Indian loan, etc. So there are organizations such as Prodigy and I don't know, forgetting the names. But yeah, there are some organizations which give loans to incoming students without collateral at a decent interest rate.
right? So yeah, I think so. This was easier for you, which is great. And again, I think a good part about you is you don't take that much amount of stress about everything. But these things are difficult for a lot of people, which is a good thing. But which is stressful for a lot of. So when it comes to now, you got admitted, you started, meeting the cohort. So tell us a bit more about that in terms of how the experience has been with NYU once you've gotten an admit. What's the journey? What are the things that happen and those kind of.
Okay, great question. This bit I'm actually excited about because ever since I got the admit, it's been really exciting. NYU has really kept us engaged. So one, there's all the regular stuff that every B school has, like resume review and all of that. So that is there. There are pre-reads that also every B school has. Apart from that, we have NYU is one of the target B schools for consulting organizations and investment banking organizations. So McKinsey, Bain, BCG is what pretty much everybody who wants to get into consulting wants to get into, right? So they and other reputed organizations such as LEK Consulting, Analysis Group, and others, all of these are very reputable organizations that I'd be, happy to get into. So they have been hosting free MBA programs. Now, this is the bit that I doubt exists in India. I might be absolutely wrong here, but okay. So this is something that exists in the US and for some European B schools as well, say INSEAD, etc. So all the target B schools, for them, they are eligible to apply for these free MBA programs that all of these organizations host, where they conduct informational sessions. They also take some sort of evaluation tests if they want to, sort of like GMAT, but gamified. Then they also will invite you for something called coffee chats. Now, coffee chats are informational interviews where they get to know you better, where they get to evaluate your likability, whether I'll pull my hair out when I'm stuck at the airport with this guy or can I have a chat with him. So those sort of things they are evaluating. So so they send out coffee chats for the candidates that they like, especially for diversity candidates, females, etc. Also, there are opportunities to get an offer before you even start your MBA. So there are some pre-MBA programs exclusively for minority groups, LGBTQ, women, etc. That are open exclusively for them. So in some cases, they might even actually get a job or an internship offer before they even start their MBA.
Yeah.
So that's really exciting and with a very lucrative salary and all that.
Okay, interesting, interesting. So yeah, I mean, if I were to ask you, what is that one thing that you're most looking forward to now as you're literally packing your bags? So to the US, what would that be?
It's very difficult to choose. I think I'm going to say the answer that people would expect me to say, which is living in New York City.
Yeah,
So New York is what I'm most excited for, exploring the culture scene, exploring the music scene, the restaurants. It's said that New York has one of the highest number of restaurants per
yeah,
capita. So I
yeah,
think that's going to be fun. So exploring New York, being in New York, it's one of the best cities in the world. I've been there before, and it's extremely fun, extremely crowded. I being a Delhi boy, kind of like that. I don't like quiet places, so yeah, excited about that.
right, right. Great, great, Gandharv. Thank you so much for taking your time, sharing your journey and perspectives, and of course, it was just awesome working with you. And I am looking forward to welcoming you 2 years later as an alum consultant for strategy with GMAT.
Absolutely.
So that will be awesome. So all the best for your journey ahead. Of course, we'll meet before you get out. And that's it. Take care.
Thank you so much, Manan. Thank you for having me. Really appreciate all your help. Thank you so much.